ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
He raped me, and then he went on to rape more women.
A La Jolla restaurant owner convicted of rape is going to prison, but not before coming face to face with some of the women he's accused of hurting one last time. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Daniel Dorado was sentenced to 40 years behind bars. As ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Kastner explains, today's courtroom hearing got very emotional when victim after victim described the terror they endured.
Before the judge sentenced Dorado, several of the women read their victim impact statements to the courtroom. Some of the women were fighting back tears.
We're not showing their faces, but these are the voices of some of the victims.
You deserve to be where you are right now, and I hope that you stay there so that you never have an opportunity to do this again to another woman.
On a live stream to the courtroom while sitting in jail, convicted rapist and former La Jolla restaurateur Daniel Dorado was read his sentence.
The total term of imprisonment is 40 years. I don't mind saying this is the maximum that I believe I can impose under the law.
A maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. The former owner of Bird Rock's Voce del Mare was found guilty last December on 20 counts related to rape and sexual assault of 4 victims who were unconscious and intoxicated.
He is an evil individual.
Another victim described her own assault.
I simply went on a date with him and ended up getting sexually assaulted by him for hours in a hotel room where I was unconscious.
ABC 10 News broke the story 2 years ago when he was charged with drugging and raping women, sometimes at his restaurant. One woman described her trauma from meeting Dorado after answering an ad on Craigslist for a hostess position.
Years after the assault, I still don't feel safe going to job interviews in person alone. I don't feel safe to do outdoor activities alone. I can't tolerate being around men, not even family.
But one woman who was named as a victim defended Dorado, said she was even friends with him, and accused detectives of manipulating her to testify against her will and appear confused about a possible assault.
Your Honor, Ms. Dorado never raped me. I never went to the police. I never filed a police report. In fact, I declined a restraining order against Mr. Dorado, and I told detectives that I did not want to press charges.
Dorado denied any wrongdoing and added,
I have spoken the truth from the very first day that this all began. I did not skip town. I did not make faces to the accusers. I'm still in shock by what has happened.
The judge ultimately ordered Dorado to pay $10,000 in restitution, in addition to serving his prison term.
Daniel Dorado told ABC 10 News he has never drugged or sexually assaulted anyone. He says he will not be satisfied until he is exonerated. Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
And we also reached out to the DA's office about the woman who defended Dorado in court today. The DA sent a statement reading, quote, today's comments in open court by the judge, the victims, and our prosecutor, along with the evidence presented at trial, all support the just result and appropriate sentence in this case.
Now to the coronavirus pandemic and the county stepping up enforcement. We told you yesterday how the county handed out cease and desist orders to several businesses. Now many of those businesses are speaking up about it. ABC 10 News reporter John Horn spoke with some of them who say they're doing their best to comply.
The county posted 17 cease and desist orders on its website, threatening to fine businesses it says are defying the latest round of coronavirus restrictions. And while some businesses may be doing it on purpose, other business owners I spoke with tell me it's not so cut and dry.
I was aware that we couldn't do it anymore, and we were transitioning to our outside classes over at Soledad.
Alina Snedeker got one of those violation letters. Her studio, Reach Yoga, held socially distant indoor sessions Monday as it arranged to move outside.
With being open for 2 weeks, we can't turn the machine off. If the machine turns off, we lose our business forever.
Reach Yoga, which just remodeled, will now rent outdoor space at the Soledad Club, which it will share with a karate studio and church.
And a yoga studio runs a lot differently than a bar or a restaurant or a church. You know, so to have the same blanket over every single business, I don't feel that is right.
At the Landing Bar in El Cajon, owner Stephen Fort also got a violation as a group watched football indoors on Sunday.
As long as they're not shutting me down, I'll comply.
Fort says he was confused over when the purple tier started, but is now fully outside. Meanwhile, in Pine Valley, Major's Diner continues to publicly defy the order without a cease and desist letter from the county. John Horn, ABC 10 News.
A county spokesman says the cease and desist orders are based on complaints, not media reports. He says he expects more violations to post, and the county did add more this afternoon. It's back to online learning for students at 3 North County schools. A handful of positive COVID-19 cases in the Vista Unified School District have the campuses at Rancho Buena Vista High School, Vista Magnet Middle School, and Madison Middle temporarily closed. Cynthia Villarreal has a daughter that attends Rancho Buena Vista. She says the classes are simply too big for social distancing.
I don't think that 39 kids in a classroom times 6 classes is acceptable. We're not allowed to have weddings that are 228 people. Why is it okay, for my daughter to be exposed to 228 kids?
Someone also tested positive for the virus at Vista High School. The school sent an email to parents saying the campus has been deemed safe and does not need to close.
After encouraging news from Pfizer and Moderna about their COVID-19 vaccine candidates, another trial is getting underway in the South Bay. As ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie tells us, AstraZeneca is now recruiting volunteers.
This parking lot is the staging ground for the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine trial, and they're looking for participants in the South Bay. This week, they're in Chula Vista.
Yeah, I hope I got the real thing. The odds are 2 to 1.
Tobias Wagner has already had his first dose of either AstraZeneca's vaccine candidate or the placebo. He's here 14 days later to get his blood drawn. Then he'll get the second shot in another 14 days.
I think it's a valuable thing to do for us as a society to find the vaccine fast.
The study partners here are UCSD and the COVID Prevention Network. Participants have been screened after registering on the study's website. This mobile operation moves to different locations as they try to fill the study. They're hoping to enroll 3,000 local people in the trial. 2,000 are currently registered. Participants do get paid. This will be a 2-year study, and the average compensation is $500, but it can be more. AstraZeneca's trial, according to the monitors here today, is a couple of months behind Moderna and Pfizer. Next week, they'll set this up in Imperial Beach. To register to participate, the website is covidvaccinesd.com. Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
And the COVID tracking project says that 1 million Americans were diagnosed with coronavirus in just the past week, and there is no sign of the virus slowing down. As ABC's Rena Roy reports, at least 11 states and some major cities are now reimposing restrictions to help slow the spread.
Long lines of cars in Framingham, Massachusetts to Los Angeles, California, as people wait to get tested for COVID-19, with cases on the rise in every single state and U.S. territory. California tightening restrictions to help stop the spread.
The situation in LA is more concerning than it's ever been. Right now is the toughest moment we have faced.
New Jersey also battling a rising infection rate, officials limiting most indoor gatherings to 10 people ahead of the holidays.
The second wave is crashing around us.
In Utah, hospital heads saying ICUs are nearing capacity. Healthcare workers from New York, once the U.S. epicenter of the virus, now going there to help.
I think us coming in has really shown the Intermountain nurses, we are here to support you. We have your back just like you had ours.
New Orleans officials announcing next year's annual Mardi Gras parades are canceled, calling them super spreader events. Meantime, there is promising news in the race for a vaccine. Both Moderna and Pfizer now waiting for crucial safety data before applying for FDA emergency authorization. Expected in the coming weeks after saying both their vaccines were found to be more than 90% effective in early trial results. Dr. Anthony Fauci telling the New York Times we could see some normalcy next fall if at least 75% of Americans get vaccinated.
It would be to the advantage of the individual and to the nation if everybody gets vaccinated with a safe and effective vaccine. You have a personal and a societal responsibility to protect yourself and those around you.
The American Healthcare Association says nursing homes are seeing a record number of new COVID-19 cases, especially in the Midwest. Facilities there have seen a 200% increase in weekly COVID cases, where community spread is also surging. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And you can keep up with the latest developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
Police say they arrested a man who shot and killed another man in the Gaslamp Quarter last week. Officers arrested 27-year-old Ruben Velasquez for the murder of 22-year-old Angel Maravilla. The two men were arguing outside last Thursday when officers say Velasquez pulled out a gun and shot Maravilla. He was taken to a hospital where he later died from his wound. Police identified Velasquez thanks to security cameras from nearby businesses. The Riverwalk Golf Club in Mission Valley is going to officially be transformed. Today, the San Diego City Council unanimously approved the Riverwalk San Diego project. This will develop the 195-acre area into a transit-oriented neighborhood development along the San Diego River. It includes 4,300 housing units. 10% of those will be affordable housing. It also includes 55 acres of parks, a protected watershed around the river, a trolley stop, and 5 miles of walking and cycling trails. But some community members worry this will add even more congestion to the area.
Our needs as a community have changed drastically. We don't need the office space. We don't need the high market rate housing. We don't need the retail space. And we certainly don't need the added traffic along the already congested Friars Road.
The project is expected to break ground in 2021.
Breaking news from Washington. President Trump has fired Chris Krebs, the Homeland Security Director of Cybersecurity. He made the announcement on Twitter a little over 30 minutes ago. Now, Krebs worked on election security and has pushed back on the president's claims of voter fraud. In fact, just last week, media reports said that Krebs was telling people he expected to be fired soon. The Trump administration plans to reduce the number of U.S. troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. It would happen just before he leaves office in January. But as ABC's Karen Travers reports, the withdrawal is getting backlash from some allies and some Republicans.
President Trump is moving forward with the drawdown of U.S. troops in Afghanistan and Iraq.
This is consistent with our established plans and strategic objectives, supported by the American people, and does not equate to a change in U.S. policy or objectives.
The Pentagon announcing the number of American service members in Afghanistan will go from the current 4,500 to 2,500 by January 15, 2021. 500 of the 3,000 troops now in Iraq will leave on that same timeline.
4 years ago, President Trump ran on a promise to put a stop to America's endless wars. Today, as just announced at the Pentagon, President Trump is keeping that promise to the American people.
In early October, President Trump tweeted, "We should have the small remaining number of our brave men and women serving in Afghanistan home by Christmas." Before he was fired as defense secretary, Mark Esper reportedly sent a classified memo to the White House warning about the dangers of speeding up the withdrawal and the possible risk to the remaining U.S. troops. The president's firing of Esper this month and installing Miller as acting secretary sparked speculation that the president would go ahead with the full withdrawal from Afghanistan. But this drawdown is still significant, and it sparked backlash, even from one top Republican.
I think a precipitous drawdown in either Afghanistan or Iraq would be a mistake.
The Secretary General of NATO also warned that the price for leaving Afghanistan too soon, or in what he called an uncoordinated way, could be very high. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.